Great to connect today, Elyce. Just to provide a little background for listeners, you and I connected because you recently gave an excellent talk at KU about your great new book titled We Might Just Make It After All, where you describe your journey from KU to founding Kate Spade and Frances Valentine and doing all of that with your best friend, Kate Spade. At your talk, my daughter and I had a nice chat with you and your husband, Andy, and here we are today. So thanks so much for coming on the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
As you think back on your experience founding and running both Kate Spade and Frances Valentine, is there an experience you've had where you learned something that you would most want to pass on to others?
Yes, it's kind of a collection of experiences, and it's really all about personal communication with people. Whether it was me seeking a job or staying in touch with people, or as an employer, interviewing people and getting personal handwritten notes from them after our interview. I think, and I tell this to my daughters all the time, after you've met with someone, um, whether you enjoyed the experience or not, you should always write them a thank you note on paper, on stationery, and mention something about your meeting with them. And I think it is so critical, especially today with using our phones and everything electronic. Yes, an email follow-up's great, but there's nothing that takes the place of a handwritten note because it's personal. And I think one of the main things is you have to remember you're not interviewing with a corporation. You're interviewing with a human being, with a person who was just like you at one point. And although they have experience and have moved on in their careers and grown and are in a position of hiring these days, they're still a person who has feelings and thinks about things and has emotions. And you think about it, when you get your stack of mail every day delivered to you, and you flip through all of the bills and all the things, the first one you pull out is that handwritten note from someone.
Mhm.
And that's the first one you open. And so it's a connection, an emotional connection. And even if you don't plan on seeing that person for a couple of years, or you don't ever think you'll need something from that person, it's a connection that you've made. And I remember the people who write to me. So that's one experience that I think is important to pass on to people.
Yeah, that's interesting. I think about the thank you notes I get as a professor. So occasionally, you get a note from a student. I get a lot of emails. I try to file them away, but I don't know where they're filed away at. But I do know where all the handwritten notes I have received at. They're right in my office,
Right,
and
right,
I see them. And you make a great point about when we get the mail, the first thing we look for is the handwritten note as opposed to
right.
things typed out. So, have you had an experience yourself where you wrote somebody a note and it left an impression, or you received a note and it left an impression?
Yeah, a couple years ago, I started a habit, and I have not continued it, I'm embarrassed to say, just because I've been so busy on the book tour. But I started a habit of writing one personal note a week to people I haven't seen in a long time. Maybe it's just an old friend from high school or college or a family friend, and just writing them a short note to tell them how much they've meant to me in my life for one reason or another, and just to say hello. And I've gotten so much positive feedback from every single one of those. And they might have emailed me back or called me out of the blue. And they just said, I was so happy to receive your letter. It just, it made me feel good that we had this great relationship, 30 years ago. And it makes you feel good. It's like you've done something really nice for someone.
Mhm.
So I've gotten so many responses from doing that. And as I said, I did that for a few months and it felt great. And I wish I wouldn't have stopped, but I kind of fell off the wagon at one point or another. But even if you just do it a handful of times to people who are important in your life, it really makes a difference for them and for you.
I interviewed Frank Blake, who is the former CEO of Home Depot, and he didn't have, as he called it, a theory of leadership. He was coming out of a legal background, and suddenly he's the CEO of Home Depot, and he's got 400,000 employees. And ultimately, he decided that his main approach to leadership was just recognizing people for the good work they did. And so he would spend hours every Sunday writing personal notes, just
Mhm.
saying, just calling people out for the great things they did. And he talks about how that had such an impact at Home Depot. So I assigned that episode to my students. And just a few weeks ago, I got an email from a student. He said, "Hey, I've been laid up sick. I had surgery. And I decided to just apply the Frank Blake technique and just write a bunch of notes. He's like, I can't tell you how many people wrote back, called me, cried to me, asked if I was dying.
Yeah. Yeah.
But he said he was blown away at how positive the feedback was. So I'm going to take your lesson. I'm going to do it. I'm going to set the goal.
Good.
I'm going to
Good.
try one personal note a week. I've been trying to apply like the Frank Blake mindset of just call out good behavior.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna commit right now publicly to
Okay.
Sunday
Good.
afternoon. I'm gonna take a
And
minute. I'm gonna write a personal note.
it's so funny. I didn't know about Frank Blake, but I do the same thing about twice a year with our staff here
Oh, interesting.
at Francis Valentine. It's just because I appreciate them all so much. And we all work in sort of different channels within the business. And although I see people, on a regular basis, I don't get the opportunity one-on-one to tell them how much I appreciate them. And so I tend to do that about twice a year.
Very cool that you're applying it at the company level as well. As you were building Kate Spade and Francis Valentine, were you using this as well as a way to show gratitude as you're growing these companies?
Well, it's Kate Spade. It was still a major form of communication.
Yeah.
So, and we tended to write more personal notes than not than using email. Uh, we even had our own stationery line at Kate Spade.
Oh,
So
cool.
because we utilized it so much, so we created a stationery line back then, and it was extremely successful. And I think the Kate Spade company still has that today. So yes, absolutely. And I do it a lot at Francis Valentine to customers whenever, for instance, today I've got about a list of 5 notes to write because I had a book tour last week. I was in Boston last week and I had 3 different events I was doing. So I'm going to write notes to all the people who hosted me, who really organized the events
Hmm.
and took care of things because they made it all happen for me. And I couldn't have done it without their help. So I'll be writing them today and I'll stick those in the mail tonight before I go home.
Very cool that you're applying what you're talking about here. And not only are you applying it, you helped facilitate a way for everybody to do this by creating your own stationary line. So
Yeah.
that's great. Any final things you'd like to share as we wrap up here, Elise?
I think what we have to remember is that all people we're dealing with every day are not just business people. They're not just, heads of departments and that kind of thing, but they're human beings. And the thing that really drives business and society, it's all personal. It's not just about cutthroat, move fast, be most efficient, that kind of thing. It's really all based on interpersonal communications. And in fact, my husband and I were just talking about it yesterday, how important it is for the sales team to go out and meet with people personally, their clients, face to face, and get to know them and take them to lunch and take them to dinner because you create those personal relationships, which in the end are so important. Even if you move on from your current position, you still have those connections of people who you were dealing with. And I think it's really important. It makes your job more fun. It makes life more livable. It makes it, really worth living, having those relationships in your life, and not just personal ones, but ones at work as well.
Yeah, I love that phrase. Everything is personal. And you mentioned, you were the person who was just like you at one point, no matter the status, the title, the prestige, everybody's a person, and we all
Mhm.
care about connecting with others on a personal level.
Yeah.
Well, Elise, this is great. You've inspired me. You've helped me set a new goal that, as I was thinking about it just now, like if I stick to this and I just write a letter a week,
Mhm.
my life will be better for that.
Yeah,
And
it will.
every person I write a letter to, their life will be better for that. And if I don't write a note, I will probably use that time playing video games. So thank you for helping me reduce my video game playing
You've
and
got to
help.
check in with me and let me know how you're doing.
Okay, I will do that. I'm gonna set a goal for like, 6 months, and then I'll let you know how I did. And
Okay.
I appreciate the accountability partner. Great. Thanks so much, Elise.
Thank you.